Okay, so I'll share my screen.
Okay, oh my God.
Please mute yourself if you are having a noisy background, please. I don't want to start mentioning names. Okay, thank you. So for those that want to download the desktop version of Power BI, you can just go to google.com. Google.com, on the search pane here, you can type Power BI download. So I'm going to show us two ways we can download Power BI. We can use the Office 365. If you have an what's it called? If you have the Office 365 subscription, that is, you have access to the Microsoft Store. You can download from the Microsoft Store, or you can just download from the Microsoft website here too. So when you type Power BI download, right, you will see this website that says download slash Microsoft Power BI. Download slash. I'll put the link on the chat section of this meeting, so you can click on that link, right? You click on that link. Let me copy this link. Let me just copy it like this. Let me copy. I'll come to the chat section here. I'll paste it. So I pasted the link. Please click on that link. Open that link. Right now, when you get to this website here, right, you will scroll down. Now you will see Microsoft Power BI Desktop. You will see Microsoft Power BI Desktop. Right? You will see Microsoft Power BI Desktop. Now you see two options here. You will see download and advanced download option. When you click on download, it's going to take you straight, it's going to redirect you to the Microsoft Store, right? When you click on advanced download option, for those that don't have the Microsoft Store, right, or don't have the 365 accounts or subscription, you click on the advanced download options. So you click on the advanced download option. Now, when you get to the advanced download option, you scroll down a little, then you will see the download button here. So, well, I believe everybody will pick English as the default language, right? Then you click on download. Then you will see two setup file here that you can download. This one is for 64 bits, right? Which is like what most people would download. So you just check this one here like this. You check and you click on download, right? Is it clear, please, on how you can download the Power BI desktop? Please, I want your responses on the chat section, please. Is it clear on how you can download the Power BI desktop? Okay. Please, I send the link. Please let me know if you're having issues downloading it. Please let me know. So I will share the option 2 with us. I sent the link already. I will share the option 2. Let me click on the Microsoft Store and share my screen again. Right. Okay, so I'm not sure. Is it compulsory you subscribe to 365 before you can have access to Microsoft Store? Please, I want to be sure of what I'm saying. Please, anybody can correct me if I'm wrong. So let me share. Some we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. Okay, so I will share my screen again. I'll open the Microsoft Store. Right. Can you all see my screen, please? Yeah. So when you get to your Microsoft Store, right, just go to the search pane here and just type Power BI. And just type Power BI. Right. When you type Power BI, oh, why is it not coming up for me? It is Power Space BI. Aha. If I'm correct. So you type enter. Right. So you will see Power BI desktop. So because I already installed, that's why it's showing installed here. right? So you just have to click on the power. So you see Power BI Report Builder, you see Power BI Desktop. So what you download from the Microsoft Store is your Power BI Desktop. Don't download this one here, although we are still going to get to when we get to paginated reports, you are still going to download the Power BI Report Builder. But if you want to download it now, Sha, well, no problem. You can do that also, right? You can do that also. So you can download it too if you want to for now. But this is the one we need for today, the Power BI Desktop. You can download the Power BI Report Builder too. We are still going to need it, I think, in our class 15 or something like that. Yeah. So this is for Microsoft Store, right? It's very simple. Just click on the app like this and click on, is it Get that you will see here, something like that, Get, and you start that. Now, the difference between the two is that when you download from the store, right, if there's an update from Microsoft, it will automatically update by itself, right? Because you download it from the store. But if you download from that other website, you have to like manually uninstall and re-download the latest version again. That's the difference between the two, right? Between downloading online on the website and download from the store. The only thing I'm not sure of is that okay, my guy says that a subscription is not required to download from the store. Okay. So it means that you don't have to subscribe to 365 to have access to Microsoft Store to download the 365 and to download the Power BI. Sorry, yeah. Okay. We are still waiting for our tutorial. Is there anybody that have issues with downloading? We have to start as fast as possible. Anybody with downloading the like any issues with you downloading the app? Any issues? Please, Mr. Jiboye Matthew, is it clear now? Dino, is it Dina? Don't let me spoil somebody's name. Okay, Samuel, are you ready now? Okay, I have to unmute you. Sorry. I think our tutor is ready now. You can unmute yourself now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
bring
thank
that.
God, you are back. Okay, so everybody, let me introduce Samuel. Samuel MoronkeJji is our stop for today. And for this challenge, we specifically brought, gathered people that are, savvy people, savvy guys, benefit boys. They are the ones that we brought. Yeah. So Samuel, thank you for coming. You can tell more about yourself. I will not be the one to do that, yeah. You can share your LinkedIn link. People can, connect with you and stuff like that. So that's one of the reasons why we are doing this challenge, so that people can, there can be that networking between different people. So thank you so much, and we can start. I think you can start now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Gbenga, for whining me. Good evening, everyone. My name is Samuel MoronkeJji, but you can just call me Samuel. Yeah. Before any other thing, I like to think I'm a Power BI developer. So I've been doing this for, a little over 7 years. Yeah, bulk of my experience has been in consulting, but of late I moved to the enterprise environment. So at the end of the class, maybe I'll share my contact for people that want to reach out and we can learn from each other. So I like to, for when I'm teaching, I like the class to be very interactive. So the way I'm able to has muted everyone. Yeah, I think it's it's a good thing, but occasionally I would want, maybe I'll be asking questions. I would just want to get your insight on the answers, or what you think is the answer. So with that being said, am I still audible?
You are very, very audible. So if there's
Okay,
anybody that you
thank
want me to unmute, you can just tell me so I can do that.
Okay, or you can still I mean, guys, you can still engage via the chat box. So I'm keeping an eye on.
It's because of
the chat
the
box.
background noise, too much background noise. That's why I had to do that.
Yeah, it's fine. So let me just quickly share my screen and let me know when you can see it. Okay, so can anyone see my screen? Yes, cool. So what can you see, please? Just so I'm sure, because what can you see? Because I'm not sharing my entire screen, so I need to be sure you're seeing Power BI desktop. I'm seeing a whole lot of yes, but nobody has told me what they are seeing. Power BI desktop, cool. Yeah, the report view. Oh, okay. Thank you. Power BI desktop. So there are Power BI developers in the house. That's nice. So yes, today, just at a very high level, we're going to be looking at data transformations in Power Query. Obviously, I'm not going to take you through every transformation that you can possibly have, but quick introduction to the tool that we're going to be using today. So the tool is called Power BI Desktop. Is a business intelligence tool owned by a vendor called Microsoft. I believe all of us, if not most of us, already know or have heard of Power BI Desktop at one particular time in our career. So inside of Power BI Desktop, we have a data cleaning tool. That's in non-technical terms or in layman terms or in common English, a data cleaning tool or a data transformation tool. But if you want to sound maybe technical, you want to sound fancy, or you want to, you want to show people you know your stuff, or maybe you're at an interview, then yeah, it passes for what we call an ETL tool. So extract, transform, load. Again, for people that already know all of this stuff, I humbly apologize, but let's just, it's always good not to assume prior knowledge. So yes, so Power Query is a tool that works with Power BI. Again, Power Query is not Power BI. Power Query is just a tool that lives inside of Power BI. And you can see Power Query inside some other applications that is actually not Power BI desktop. So Power Query lives in some of other Microsoft products like Excel. It actually started from Excel, but this is not a business class, or some information we really do not need. But it started from Excel, in case you're curious, or maybe you're a fellow trainer. Then it evolved into Power Query. We have it in Power Apps. We have it in we have it in, I know we have it in more than 3 Microsoft products, but the most common, we have it in the service also. We have it in Power BI service as something called data flows. So yeah, I just like to, always clear that misconception. So Power Query is not Power BI. It's just a tool, as I don't even want to say embedded, but it lives inside of Power BI. And the only job that it does, whether it's in Power BI or you're seeing it in Excel, or you're seeing it in Power Platform, all it does is ETL. And what is ETL? You're extracting data from some data source, either a flat file or a database, an API, a website, wherever your data is sitting, you're extracting data from there. That's the E part. You're transforming the data, which is like bulk of what you spend your time doing in Power Query. Then we're loading data into usually, a destination, which can actually be maybe the Power BI desktop model, which is Power Pivot, or Excel itself, or Power Pivot engine inside of Excel also. Whatever destination, you're loading data somewhere. So Power Query just handles that from ingestion to, again, transformation to loading. That's what Power Query does. So, I mean, if you've already installed Power BI Desktop via any routes, maybe you went to the web or you installed from Microsoft Store, and you start Power BI Desktop, like you initiate this blank. So this is how it looks for people that are not so maybe familiar with the tool already. This is how it looks. But again, like I said, this is not where we're going. This is not where we're going to be spending time. We'll probably not even come here again. Maybe if we just want to load and see maybe the output of what we're loading. So we're going to spend bulk of our session in Power Query. So to go to the Power Query environment from Power BI Desktop, this reading actually under the Home tab, this queries reading. So where you have your transform data and your refresh button, these two buttons under this queries reading actually speaks to Power Query. This data reading also speaks to Power Query. So you can think of, if you're talking about, oh, I want to go to Power Query from Power BI, how do I get there? It depends, but I mean, you can grab data, the extract side, remember we said ETL, which is what Power BI, Power Query does. So you can grab data, and how do you do that? You click on get data, and you see all these data sources that you can connect to. So these are inbuilt connectors, like things that allow you connect to some kind of data sources. So Microsoft has already provided this for you, so you don't need to worry about, oh, my data is in SQL Server or is in Oracle, how do I grab it, and all of that. You have over 200 data sources that you can connect to using Power BI, using Power Query, or inside of Power BI. So if I click on more, I see like a full list, and I like to think that Power Query can still connect to even more data sources than what you have here. So, I mean, you can connect to all sorts of APIs. Maybe you work in a bank, there's an application that is built by your software engineering team, and I mean, you talk to them, you need to grab some data from it, maybe Finacle or some local application. They give you an endpoint to the API, and all you just need to do is come here, search for API, or use any connector. You can use ODBC or whatever, and connect to that endpoint using the credentials that you have been given. So yes, you can connect to an Excel workbook, a CSV file, like that. So this is one way to navigate to the Power Query environment. Say I have my data sitting in Excel. All I'm just going to do is click on Excel workbook, click on connect, follow the prompt, and it will land me there. So another navigation route again is to click on this transform data button, and I now have what I call the Power Query editor. So this is the Power Query editor, and you can see it's a different window from the Power BI itself, from the Power BI dialog window itself.
Sorry,
So
Samuel,
again,
we can't see the Power Query. You can stop sharing and share again. Yeah.
Oh, I think it's the way I'm sharing.
No, sometimes it happens like that. When you share from desktop, it happens.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me just, okay. What about now?
Yes, can see it now.
Okay, awesome. So yes, so from here, you can see that it actually opened like a new window, which, I mean, validates the point that Power Query is not Power BI. It's just a tool that helps you undo some tasks in Power BI, in your Power BI workflow. And what is that task? Cleaning, basically, or transformation, or what you can call it here. And same experience, your get data experience inside of Power BI Desktop, you can replicate it here by just going to new source and grabbing data. So I'm going to actually try and grab data from, let me use this guy. So I'm going to grab data from I mean, one of the fictitious data sets that we use for, I mean, for learning, for training, and all of that is called Northwind. Some of us that already do some kind of work with Power BI will be conversant with Northwind, Contoso, AdventureWorks. So this is just one of those kind of data sets. It's publicly available. So I'm going to use a connector called OData. I've seen it, but I mean, you can just OData. So OData is just like, I mean, it's a connector that allows you to connect to OData sources basically. So OData is open data. So I'm just going to click connect and Control V. So copy that link and do OK. So let me just, for people that may be following along, let me just quickly drop this on the chat box in case. Yeah, but if you just search for OData Northwind, you're going to get something like this. So yeah, and like I said, it's a public available data set, so you don't need any of this. I mean, you don't need, you can connect with it with an anonymous credential. So, but I'm just going to select the right level of access because I don't think I have access to the main website, but this is the data here. And I'm just going to do connect. So if the Power Query gods are with us, we should be able to see, yes, perfect. So yeah, so this is what, again, the same experience. Like I said, this is, I mean, for some reason, I'm not using my everyday laptop. So this is, you can connect to Excel, you can connect to a flat file, you can, but again, just think of it as if, maybe if you don't want to go through the stress of connecting to something online, you can, if you have an Excel workbook, maybe your sales data from your company or something, you can connect to it and just maybe try to follow along. But yeah, so you have this navigator experience when you connect to a particular data source. So what do I have here? It's exposing, it's giving me a list of all the tables. All the tables. I know they are tables because of this icon, that small table thing with the blue stuff. So it's not only tables. You can see sometimes you're connecting to a database, you can see some other objects, you can see maybe views, you can see measures actually. If you're connecting to like a cube, all these polar cubes and all those things, you can see some other type of objects. So, but 95% of the time, you want to connect to a table, or I mean, you want to connect to a particular object. So, I mean, if I need everything from this particular data source, I can just right click here and click on transform data. So let's just do that. It shows me all of the tables, basically everything I have inside this data source. We're going to walk through the UI of Power Query, and if I'm moving too fast, please let me know. Yes, and you can raise your hand. So maybe
Okay,
then,
Samuel, somebody is asking that
yes.
this OData, is it a database or an on-site online site where one can get data like Kego?
Yes. So it's like a public repository. It's like an online, it's like data hosted online for public access. So you can access it through what we call that open data protocol. So it's just more like a framework that is collectively agreed by a group of people to say, okay, let's keep data in this format. So if you're accessing it with any kind of client, you can connect to this same version of the data. So if I go to this, what is it called? If I copy this link and open it, try to open it directly on the web, you will see something like an XML format. It's going to render in, yeah. So you see something like this. This is actually like the data, and it's kind of embedded in, I mean, XML and root paths, things like that. But if you look closely, you see categories, common customer demographic. But yeah, to answer your question for short, this particular data set, I know it's owned by Microsoft, and you can always, the URL will probably not change for eternity. It has always been there. You can always connect to it. But the only thing that you just need to notice when you're connecting to it, you use this connector, this odata.feed connector. Again, we don't want to go to maybe in the course of our challenges, some other time, maybe we'll talk about connectors, SDKs, what all those things are. But introduction class, high level, what Power Query is, how it can help you in your everyday workflow, how you can automate the boring tasks, how you can use it to clean your data. You're starting out as a Power BI developer, or you're even like a veteran Power BI developer, some other transformations that you can do and all of that. So that's basically what I hope to answer the question correctly, but or in a way that is, yeah, easy to understand. Yeah, so another thing is I can still go back, do my old data feed, Control V, do OK. And instead of what is it called? Instead of grabbing all the tables, I can say, let me just, for now, let me just pick my orders table, maybe products, I need region, shippers. If I need some other things, I'll come back here. So, but just these 4 tables those are only the tables I need, and I'm just going to do OK. Again, it all depends on what you want. But you notice one thing. Immediately we do OK, there's this pane, and this will take us to actually the user interface of Power Query, but I like to think this user interface is actually not intimidating. So it's actually friendly for people that are starting out. There's really not so much going on. But then this is the mistake that most people make. I'm sorry if it sounds as if I'm very biased to Microsoft technologies, but yeah, but this is the mistake that most people make. It looks innocent, but it's very powerful. Very powerful, because even under this UI, there are some other things you can do, other transformations that you can do that you can't readily get from the user interface. But again, we need to, learn the user interface before you now start scripting out and all of those things. So yes, let's walk through the user interface. So like every other, Microsoft products, you have tabs, you have ribbons, you have buttons on the ribbons. Then to the left, you have something we call the queries pane, and it's collapsible. If you want more, more real estate, you want to see your data properly, you can, you can collapse it. If you have queries, more than one query, they're all going to show here. Again, we like to think of this as queries and not tables, because like I said, you can have so many kinds of objects here that are actually not just tables. You can have a list, you can have a record, you can have a function, you can have a parameter. You can have all sorts of stuff. You can have a query group, or what we call a folder. You can have all sorts of objects here. So it's just always better to think of it as a query. And a small tip is some of these technical things that maybe some interviewers actually like. So it just makes it seem as if, oh, you know more than you actually know when you're actually calling things by their technical names. But then again, like we all know, as Power BI developers, you'll be engaging different stakeholders. So when you know your audience, you know the name to call something. If you're talking to your manager, then that's not when you want to say, you can even say queries, but that's not when you want to say things like maybe sections, or you want to say, no, you don't want to say that. So if you're engaging business audience or business stakeholders, you really want to dumb down the language for them. But if you're speaking to maybe technical people, or you're in an interview and your audience is kind of technical, then it will help you to actually call things by their technical names. So yeah, so to the far right, to the far right, you have query settings. You have query settings, you have properties of the query that you are currently on. So if I switch from shippers to regions, you see that this name will change, and you have something called applied steps. Again, everything here is just helping you to do only one thing: data transformation or data cleaning or data shaping or ETL. That's all Power Query is used for. If you're within an innocent looking interface or something that looks very advanced, everything is you're trying to reshape your data or clean your data or transform your data. So under the home tab, you have different. Is there a way I can minimize this? Is actually blocking. Okay, I'll move it to the side. Okay, I think I can move it. Yeah. So under this home tab, we have different buttons. We already, from this session, we already know what the new source button is used for. It just helps you grab data from a particular data source, and what we inform the connector that we use depends on where your data source is sitting. You're a small business owner, you want to see what people are talking about on your business, you connect to Twitter, your data is in SQL Server, obviously you're going to use the SQL Server connector. Your data is in Excel, you use Excel workbook and all of that. So that's what this particular ribbon is saying. This one helps you manage columns. So we're going to see that in a bit. This one helps you reduce rows. So again, these things are actually intuitive from the way the owners of the solution are, the way they've built it, the way they've developed it. So it's easy to follow. The names are kind of intuitive. So it's not every time you need to go and look at the documentation to say, okay, what does merge query means or mean, or what does this? So it just looks manage column. So yeah, I can already guess that, okay, this one will have to do with maybe if I want to reduce the number of my columns or things like that, or I want to go to a column. Yeah. So transform again from the name. Every command or every tool you're going to see under this transform tab is helping you really, really shape your data. Either you're grouping it, or you're promoting first row as headers, or you're transposing, you're pivoting, you're changing data types, whatever. I mean, this is like the real deal. Yeah, this is where most of our cleaning tools, this is where they live. So you're filling something down. Most of those things are maybe very complex formulas in Excel to do. You want to trim something, you want to change something to lowercase, uppercase, and all of that. I mean, with a click of a button, 2 clicks of a button, you can readily do that in Power Query. And the beauty of it is Power Query workflows are reusable. So when you have something January, February, March, maybe a report that you send quarterly, if you've done your transformations, you don't need to do it again when April comes. You just need to maybe refresh that data. Power Query will go run all your applied steps or all your transformations against the data source, grab new data and display it on, update your model, which will in turn updates your report. So yeah, let's just, so that's what transform is. Add column. Most of the tabs you see on transform, most of the tools you see on transform, you see them on add column also. The only difference is when you're on add column and you click on a particular transformation, instead of it overriding that, maybe if it's you're doing an operation on a column, instead of it override the values of that column, it creates an extra column for you and a calculated column or a calculated field for people that like to speak technical. And it now runs that logic on that separate field, preserving your original column. Which one is right, which one is wrong? It depends. It depends on what you want to achieve. It depends on the shape the shape of the data you want to get at the end. Oh, okay. How did I navigate to data properties? So it's always there. It's always there. If you don't see it, so if you come to the view, for whatever reason, you open up your what is it called? You open up your Power Query environment and so many things are missing. That's just a cue for you to go to the view tab and toggle some things on. So currently you see that my query settings, where you have your data properties, is actually hidden or is not visible. It's because I just toggled it off. And excuse me, so you come to an environment, you come to a Power Query environment, you see that things, you can't see your formula bar or you can't see something. You don't need to crack your head, you don't need to even go to the internet. Just come to your view tab and start checking things. So immediately I click this query settings, it comes back. I don't have a formula bar now. If I check this formula bar, it comes back, it's visible and all of that. So that's basically what is on the view tab. Tools for, for technical guys, you want to see your performance, you want to monitor the interaction between Power Query engine or the mashup engine and your data source and all of that. Maybe something is wrong somewhere and you pick support with Microsoft engineers and they are saying, oh, give us the trace file for your Power Query. So you come here, you run the diagnostics, it exports it to a zip file and you send it to Microsoft and they will come back to you and tell you, yeah, okay, go here and all of that. Or you want to measure performance and all of that. And the help tab that we already, can guess what we have. So yeah, common transformations. So this is where I would like us to weigh in. So when we say data cleaning, can people just tell me examples of data cleaning operations that we can do? Like, just, you don't need to unmute. I think maybe just drop it on the chat box. Just quickly in the next, our time is actually fast spent. Remove blank, nice. Change data type, awesome. Yeah, data type, yes. Handling missing data, awesome. Removing duplicates, nice. Come at me. There are like 1,000 of them. Please, if they said something, don't repeat it. Yeah, you can replace values. Yeah, you can remove errors. You can keep errors. You can remove useless columns. Yeah, nice. You can unpivot and pivot tables. You can split columns. Nice. If each column has unique header, you can add columns, you can rename columns. Yeah, you can trim. Yeah, you can trim excess spaces. You can keep duplicates. You can undo outliers. Yeah. You can check for outliers. I think you can demote headers. Yeah, most people always promote headers, but there's a demote thing too. Yeah, you can extract like text from yeah, maybe a string or something. You can merge tables. You can append tables. Thank you. Measures. It depends. It depends on what you mean by measures, but you can create calculated columns, yes. But measures, I'll keep measures for Power BI itself or for DAX. Append fever. Okay, thank you. So it means that we should actually even be working this session together. Too many awesome developers in the house. So thank you so much. Yeah, so let's just in the next few minutes that we have, let's just yeah, some common data transformations. So we're going to look at data type casting, casting data types, different data types, and yeah, casting or changing data types from one data type to another. What else? Yeah, let's merge columns. Let's merge columns. Let's append tables and merge tables. So basically a combined operation. Yeah, let's just start. Okay. Let's create some calculated column. Yeah, we'll add to this list. So again, like I said, you can fire up your Power Query editor and you see that maybe for some reason you don't have this tiny little box where I have my column distribution and column quality values, and you're wondering, oh, where did yours go? Is something, again, like I said before, anything that you know that yes, Power Query offers, but you can't see in the interface. If you go to the view tab, when you begin toggling things on and off, don't worry, you can't spoil anything. When you begin toggling things on and off, whatever you're looking for will come up. So if I uncheck maybe column distribution, column quality, you see that goes away. But if I put them back, then it comes back basically. So yes, before we start talking about common data transformations, the language of Power Query is called M. So when you hear somebody saying, oh, I can write M, or I can write the mashup language, or I know Power Query M, there's no need to overthink. They're just talking about this guy here. The same way we write formulas in Excel equal to if error, your VStack, HStack, VLOOKUP, whatever. Any formula that you're writing or that Power Query writes for you is called the M language. That's basically it. And any formula that you're writing inside of Power BI desktop is called DAX. So sometimes when you see people say, oh, M, I can do it in M and I can do it in DAX, where is the best place to do it, and all of those things. This is what they are talking about, just this formula. But the beauty of this is, for almost all the common data transformations that we've mentioned, the UI can comfortably undo most of them, if not all of them. So you don't need to worry about this thing that looks like, for people that are like maybe citizen developers, you don't really want to dive deep, and you just want to be able to do your work and just turn out your report and take your bag by 5 o'clock and go home, and you don't want to overly think about what Microsoft is writing with this funny language. There's no need. Immediately you start clicking stuff, Power Query Editor will write the equivalent M for you. Okay. So the first thing is data type. So where do we even see data types on? Okay. So where do we even see? Thank you. Our host is very generous. So where do you see data types on Power Query? This tiny little icons beside your column names, those are the indicators of what data type you're currently working with. Again, because this is we're connecting to like some kind of structured data. That's why with the what is it called? With the columns, we can already Power Query can already identify the data types of these columns, and it has put them there. Usually, well, it depends. Sometimes you don't want that. So again, it depends on there's a setting. So if you go to file and you go to options, so there's a setting that you can, again, depending on what you want. If you don't want Power Query to automatically detect data type, you can always turn it off. So you have full control over, I want to make this text, or I want to make this numbers. So you can turn it off and say, don't help me, I know what to do, and all of that. So this is where to do that globally. And if you want to do it in the current file, still the same place, and you just uncheck this type detection. So this type means data type. Okay, but then if you want to see all the list of data type that we have, so if I just click on this button, then I get all these data types that my columns can be in. So it can be a decimal number, it can be fixed decimal number, it can be whole number, it can be a percentage, date, time, date, all of that. So you will see some data types that we're already used to that we can see from other applications, Excel, Python, and all that. And you can see some that, I mean, it looks as if, yeah, something like duration looks as if it's native to Power Query. But yes, not a trick question. Who can tell me the difference between decimal number and fixed decimal number? So I'll need maybe if you're answering, maybe you should just maybe unmute, or you can raise your hand so we also unmute you and quickly. Oh, yes, Shegun Akishino. Go ahead, please.
I'm not Shegun, you can talk.
Okay. Confirm if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, so for me, decimal numbers are numbers that have, they can have more than 2, 3 numbers after the decimal point. But when you talk about fixed decimal number, for example, like currency, you can't have more than 2 numbers after the decimal point. For example, you are saying 5,000, or let's say 1,000 naira and 50 kobo something. So you can't have more than 2 numbers after the what's it called, the decimal point. So it is fixed. So you can't have more than 2. But when you talk about decimal number, you can have 2, 3. Just make it continuous and all that. So that is my thoughts about it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that submission. So you're spot on. Yeah, like you rightly said, decimal number is just, I mean, you can actually still be 2. It can be 2, it can be 1. You can have it, and fixed is it's just going to be 2. So the difference between decimal number and fixed decimal number is just about precision. A little bit of nuance about it, especially when we're talking about BI, but let's just leave that. But if you can, always try to you're not working with maybe something that you need that be very, very tight to the decimal place or to the decimal place.
Hello, Samuel.
Yes.
Sorry, there's an echo from your background.
Wow.
Yes. Maybe you joined on 2 devices or something.
Sec. Okay. I hope I'm still not echoing. I hope I'm not echoing. Please, I need. Can anyone hear me? Hello. Can't hear anybody. Okay, yes, we can. Cool. Yeah, I think someone said the screen is too tiny. So
yeah, the screen is tiny somehow and it's blurry.
Okay.
You can stop sharing, share again.
Let me just increase this thing of although is it bigger now? I'm zoomed in a bit.
It's blurry.
Blurry.
Yeah.
This thing on my, I'm sure internet, it looks as if
I think it's internet issue, right? Okay.
It's possible because that's the only explanation.
Okay, share again now. Let's see.
Okay. The only logical thing is internet.
Aha, very clear now. Continue.
Okay, then it should be bigger also. This. Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's one thing I don't like about zooming. When you zoom in, the UI becomes very, very displaced. But yeah, I'll manage. So awesome. Cool. Yeah, big. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Akishino gave us, I mean, a very, very perfect answer. Difference between decimal and fixed decimal is just precision basically. But I mean, my advice would be if you're just starting out, because it's always hard to unlearn old habits. So if you're just starting out, and even though something is not currency, so it's not money, it's not naira, it's not dollar, but that column is just maybe 0.24, 0.25, and it has the tendency of going to maybe 6 decimal places, some 7 decimal places. Just always put it in fixed decimal number. I mean, yeah, but that's story for another day. Okay, so yes, we have all these data types. Say for order date, this is my order date. It looks funny because it's actually in a date time data type instead of a date data type. So what do I do? How do we this unnecessarily big English that I put called casting? Casting again is just changing from one data type to another. Yeah, basically, or setting a data type from a particular thing to a desired one. So yeah, I can just change it from date time to date. And now you can see that the old 12 a.m. thing, those things they've gone away. Again, I did it for only order dates, but you said, oh, back query is supposed to make life easier. So if I now have 1,000 columns that I want to set to dates, do I have to now start clicking them one by one? Actually, no. So if I want to do the same operation for required dates and shipped dates, so I'm just going to hold control key on my keyboard and select all the columns that I would like to convert to the same data type. So I can either do it from here, do it by maybe right-clicking and changing to date. So just right-click any of the selected columns and change to date. It will change the two. At the same time, if you go back and say, okay, let's go through another route. Let's go through another route. So I've undone that and I want to maybe do it from another place. Another way to do it is after I've selected my columns, I can go to transform and I'll go to this date time column and I'll pick date only. So that is what I want. And I'm going to have this guy. So basically, it's the same thing. Yeah, for now, let's just assume it's the same thing. So what else? What other transformations can we do on this file or on this table rather? Okay, let's reduce the number of columns. Say this is our orders table. So we're currently in our orders table, and I have order ID, customer ID, employee ID, order date, required date, ship. So let me drop, like somebody said, someone on the chat box called it useless. So let's drop the columns that we don't need. So the rule of thumb, as most of us already know, in analytics, in business intelligence, when you're building out your reporting application, is any column that you don't need or any column that does not have any analytical value, do not bring it into your model. And it's from this environment you're going to start selecting what you need or what will be useful for you and what will not be useful for you. So, but the general rule of thumb is anything that is not useful for you when you're going to be reporting, please do not bring it in. And for people that always like probing everything to say, yeah, I just take your word for it. Why? Why is because at the point of refresh, you're giving the engine extra work to do, extra load to process a column, an extra column that is actually that you don't even need in the first place. So refresh will, every time you refresh, it will recompute all that value, all those values. It will grab it from data source again. Again, it makes your data model unnecessarily big. So that column will make your model bigger. So if it's supposed to take maybe 3 minutes of refresh, your model will start taking maybe 6, depending on the kind of what's it called, the kind of column that you even have. If it's a text field, oh Lord, if it's a text field that does not really have unique values, proper what's it called, one chance. But if it's something that is not so repeated, yeah, extra cost, but you can do away with it. So for some of us that do things outside of Power BI and we just want to learn Power BI, all those concepts, all those analytic engineering concepts, data engineering concepts, trust me, they are applicable here if you want to be like a top-notch ETL developer or Power Query developer. Okay, so we said we want to drop columns that we don't need. So like every other thing, just the way we have in Excel, there are many routes to the market when you're working inside of Power Query. So you can do something this way, another person can come do it another way. So just pick the one that is, that you're comfortable with and the one that is not violating maybe best practice. So the one that I always default to is using this choose columns. So I choose columns and maybe I'll select everything and say, okay, I want other ID, I want this, or you can select everything and untick the ones that you don't need. I mean, it all depends. So say maybe I'm looking at it and I'm seeing maybe I'm a good modeler and I'm saying ship name, ship address, ship city, all the ship things will not what is it called? Maybe they should not be on this table. They should be on maybe a dimension table. So I will just say, okay, I don't want them here because I already have maybe a shippers table or whatever. So, but just for data transformation learning sake, for whatever reason that makes sense to us, we don't need all these columns. So I'm just going to uncheck them and just going to do okay. And now you can see that I have only the columns that I need. Please don't ask me about this matching columns, these relationship columns that come from the database. It's because we're connected to some kind of relational, like some kind of relational data, something that is structured. So that's why it can sense that, yeah, customer table is joined to this other table, employee table, but don't just ignore. If you load this to Power BI, it's going to drop all those things, and you can drop them yourself if for whatever reason you just don't like the way you're even seeing them. So I can click on the first one, hold shift, click on the last one, right click and remove columns. So one beautiful thing about Power Query is that for every transformation that you do, it helps you store or save those things here in this apply steps pane. So yeah, people say you don't have the concept of Control-Z, or so you can't undo something in Power Query. The way to undo something in Power Query is just to come here and click this X button. So you click this X button, say maybe my last step, I don't like it, so I want to okay, repeat the process of choosing columns. Time is fast spent. But yeah, I will be so you're just going to, I don't want this step, this remove column step, so I'm just going to click on this X and then it goes away. Again, maybe I don't want to delete a bunch of steps at the same time, so I can just come to say, I want to delete both this extracted date and this remove column date for date, remove other columns for whatever reason. Click on this extracted date, and instead of deleting them one by one, I can just right click on this guy, on this extracted date, and click on delete until end. So if I do delete until end, it's going to delete both the extracted date and the removed other columns steps. So it's going to delete those 2 steps. And if you have like maybe 150 step transformation, it's going to delete everything. But what this pane is just doing, it's just helping you keep track of all the transformations that you've done. So all the ways you change the shape of the data from source, so you can logically step through your transformations. I mean, you see different things online about properly documenting these things. I mean, for some people that maybe you work in a large thing, maybe you work or you're going to work in an organization where you're not going to be the only developers. Maybe you guys are going to be like 4 or 5 doing something. So maybe you're sharing your Power Query transformation file with someone else. Your M code there, you're sharing it with maybe a colleague so that you can continue the work or whatever. So yeah, you can document your code. One of the ways to document your code is maybe I can right click on this change type step and click on properties and just type anything there. Maybe changed step, changed order date, or cast order date to date, or anything that makes sense. Some people can even put I mean, you can put something here, maybe a lineage, or put whatever there. Oh, I didn't do okay. Whatever you do there, ABC, XYZ, and you do okay. When you over on this stuff, you see it. So, I mean, it's not even always for someone else. Sometimes you build a solution and it's been a long time. Maybe you did it for a client or even your organization, and it's been a long time you built that thing, and it helps you remember, okay, this was what I was doing in this particular thing. So documentation is always a good practice. If you've not been doing it, please, yeah, you can learn it. It can be tedious, but it's always helpful. It's all these tiny things that makes you like, I mean, a better developer than the next guy. Yeah, so yeah, the way we chose columns was just to go under the home tab. You see choose columns, then it tells you columns to keep, and maybe I just want to keep just little, I mean, whatever, I select them and do okay, and it reduces my table to only the selected columns, basically. Yeah, rules about transformation, but if you're just starting out again, just, I mean, get what you need to get. So maybe you need the year of the order or order year. Again, like every other thing, there are so many, let me make this a bit, yeah. So there are so many ways to the markets. I want to extract here from this guy. The way you have done it in Excel is maybe equal to dates, then you do year, you will pick the column, maybe your date is in A1, comma, month, A1 again, comma, this, or you do date value and change to. But yeah, it's very simple with 2 clicks or 1 click button. Maybe I want to add an extra column. I don't want to override this my date column, and I just want to extract the year. So I'm just going to click on the other date, click on add column, select date, click on year, and just do year. And you can see it has extracted all the years for me on a separate column. And if I want to change the name of this column to order year, maybe on this table, okay, this table is already orders, but if it's a table that maybe like sales, most of us are used to Adventure Works, and there's a table there called, I think, sales or fact sales. So if it's a table that has both order date and delivery date or ship date together, so you want to really say, okay, this is the order year and this is the delivered year. So you want to change this name to order year. 2 ways. You can just double click on this place and just type order year. and just commit your code. Or so if you do that, so if I just double click and do other here, I've done again one transformation, and you can see it's logged it here to say what renamed columns. So it has renamed, and you can see the equivalent M. So it renamed here into other here, and he put it in a structure that we always call a list. So another way is I can actually remove these renamed columns and just maybe I just want to, show that I do elegant transformation. I'm very, very efficient. Automation kind of guy. I don't like this thing. So instead of creating an additional step that may or may not stress my engine when it's time to refresh, I can just rename the column straight from this particular M. And yeah, you can, from there, just this simple thing, you are what's it called, allowed to put proficient in M language on your CV. Because actually what you've done is you've altered the M that Power Query gave you, which is one place to start. Again, say we want to do something like we want to maybe merge columns, say city, country. It's very easy. Again, I can do that with M, or I can do it with the UI to say, okay, I want to add an extra column to say ship city. Then I hold my control. I click country. Then I go to merge columns. Under my add column, I click merge columns. Then I specify a separator to say my separator is going to be a comma and a space. So basically what we are transforming is instead of reims in another city, in another column rather, and country in another column, I want to do reims, France. Maybe so that maybe when I go to, what is it called? When I go to Power BI, I want to set that column as maybe a country, give it a data category as country, so that I'll use it in a map, or for whatever reason I want to do that for. So my separator is actually going to be a comma and a space, and I can actually just change the name to ship city country, or whatever name that makes sense. And yes, one thing I didn't mention, Power Query is case sensitive, very, very case sensitive. Or if there's more distinct to it, it's case sensitive. So, but you can see it has created this thing for us. So it has concatenated both city and country into a single column called country and city country, and I can now maybe delete these two columns, so I don't need them again, and I have this other guy. What else do I have for us today? Okay, let's see. Append tables, merge tables. Okay. Let me see, products. Let's just duplicate this products table and just assume that we have another table called maybe products. Maybe this one is coming from a source one, a data source one. Maybe this is coming from Oracle. So ORC_products. Yeah, you can rename query, and that's what I just did. And maybe this one is coming from SQL Server. So, or maybe SQL Server SS_products. And for whatever reason, I want to stack them on each other. So that is an append operation. So there are two major methods that we use in combining queries: a merge and an append. A merge is for those that are conversant with SQL. A merge is like your join. An append is you're putting one on top of each other. Usually, maybe you have data for January, February, and now the data for March has come. So if you're not connecting to the folder, so it's picking it automatically, maybe you're connecting to them one by one. So you have January, February, and now you want to append March to it. So that would be an append operation. But say maybe you have the concept of you want to look up something from a table in another table, so to bring it in this table, or you want to join something, that's when you do a merge query. So let's quickly do an append. So let me just splitting date and time is best practice. I guess that's not part of the class. Yes, splitting date time is best practice. Are we doing so? Like I said, this is, I mean, am I even really going into best practice for Power Query? No, I'm not, because if that's like another domain entirely. So the way I've been transforming data, I would not have transformed data that way. I would be cautious of something we call query folding and all of that. I mean, I would do more, what is it called? More elegant transformation. For transformations that are repetitive, of course, I'm going to create a function and all of those things. Yeah, but this lady is correct. Lady or person. Splitting date and time, yes. But in our case, actually, I can say there's really because the other date actually has 12 o'clock all through. It's not as if there's really a time component to it. That's why we can even knock it off. That's one thing. Second thing is if you don't need the time part in your, if you're not going to be doing analysis by time, maybe last 15 minutes or in the past 1 hour, or you're not going to be grouping or slicing and dicing your data by any time dimension, then you can just totally ignore the time part. The only another reason, I mean, there are so many things. I don't want to I mean, we don't want to slowly turn an introductory class into something else. But another reason why I can say maybe I want to keep this column as is, maybe this required date column in the date time format without actually splitting, is if I need to do incremental refresh. If I need to do incremental refresh, obviously my range start and my range end parameters will need a date time field to filter on. So if I'm doing that, then this will need to be maintained as a date time. But when I now load, so that's one way to trick Power BI. When you now load from Power Query to Power BI, you will now go and change it inside Power BI from date time to date. So that way, it allows you to do your incremental refresh, but you're now changing it back to date, so that, I mean, for your users, they don't, when they are grouping stuff or when they are interacting with reports, they don't just see all those 12 a.m. all the, I mean, it's a lot to unbundle along that line. But yeah, thank you so much for that. That's, I mean, when you're talking about optimizing or doing elegant transformation, that's like a whole different ball game entirely. Yeah, so I mean, in the light of best practice, I want to append, just hypothetically, or we're just assuming this our SQL Server thing is coming from this and this one is coming from Oracle. So best practice will say you don't just merge what's it called? This, you don't just append these two together. So you actually have to create a third query, and it's on that third query you do an append. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this SQL Server one, reference it, then it's on this guy that I'm now going to do append. It's different from append as new. So I'm going to append to this current table, I'm going to append ORC product, and I'm going to do OK. So, and you can see what is it called? You can see the equivalent M that is there. And you can see the query also, equivalent step rather, you can see the M that is there. It's using a function called table.combine, and it's combining two, what's it called? It's combining two tables. My source table, which is this first step, this first step is the source, and it's a table, and it's appending it to this other query, ORC product. So sometimes you build very complex solutions where you have, I mean, so many things interacting with each other. If you want to really see, maybe you want to logically trace your transformation again to see, okay, maybe some people are better with visual lineage to see, okay, where did this table even come from? There's a feature that helps you do that inside of Power Query, and it's under view, and you can view your query dependencies. So if you click on view and click on query dependencies, I always like to do mine from left to right, and you can actually see, so you can see how, I mean, from source to stage, I mean, if you have a staging layer, from source to, you can see how this table now, you can see how it came about. If you click on it, you can already visually see that, okay, it came from the data source. From the data source, data source gave birth to two tables, and those two tables are joining to give birth to this table. So if you have like a very, very complex Power Query solution where so many things are going on, this is where, I mean, you can, I mean, a bit understand lineage. So it helps you understand, okay, this is coming from this, and that is coming from that. So in a case like this, you can now continue your transformation on this resulting table. Again, there are some operations you can do apart from renaming queries. Also, you can now call this one, maybe you can rename it and now call this one your final product. Or, I mean, some people will say DIN product, but that's fact or DIN thing always hurts my eye. So yeah, then you know you have to disable this one. Disable this one and disable this one. Why disabling load is so that when you load to Power BI, it doesn't take this your intermediate table, it's just going to take the final result. Again, one elegant thing you can do again here is keep your queries in something we call, I mean, technical name is query groups, but people call it folders. So you can just create a new group to say, maybe this, if you have a very, very small Power Query solution, you don't need most of these things, but maybe if it's, again, an interview, then you really, really want to, I mean, put your best foot forward. So maybe some of these tips can be helpful. And if you have better ones also, you can drop them on the chat box. Like I said in the beginning, we are all learning. So yeah, you can call this disable load, or you can call them your helper queries, whatever. And you can put a description for yourself or whoever is going to consume this. So it's going to create something that we call a query group or a folder, and you can move maybe your intermediate queries that you don't want to follow you to Power BI. You can move them here. You can move them to this folder so that, yeah, you can right click to and do move to group and move to this guy so that you can focus on the important things. Some other people would even do new group, create a fact folder. So they put all their facts there for, I mean, subsequent classes when the other tutors are going to come. So you're going to learn the concept of facts and dimensions. So some people actually just do this so that they, I mean, all your date table, your shippers table, customer table, product table, and all those things will go to the dimensions folder, and logically you can just I mean, separate stuff to their proper place. So again, this is how to keep saying of, because you can have a solution that you're dealing with all sorts of objects. Like I said, you can create a list. So a list is, I mean, if I just right click this empty space and do new query and do blank query, you can initiate a list by just 2 curly braces. So I can say you are Samuel, my namesake, AMO. I can say 1. I can say 2024 03 03 22. I can say Tinubu, and I can just commit this guy. And you can see what was created there. You can see that the icon is kind of different from what we've been working with all day. So this is a list. I mean, there's a part it has to play in your transformation, some use cases for lists. You can create a record. You can initialize a record also. A record we just use two, what is it called? Two square brackets. So that's another type. You can create a dictionary where you're saving things inside the record, and you can use it for your transformation. So I mean, part of my own personal best practice is I join a new company. Anything that makes sense, anything that does not make sense, or I'm cleaning data, test values, I have a dictionary query, and it's just one query that I carry along with me everywhere. So I will just keep populating that dictionary inside of my Power Query. That's the first query I always paste. Paste my dictionary there, and I just keep populating stuff in it in what's it called? In ways that make sense and in ways that don't make sense. So a dictionary is basically a record that can now all sort of objects also. I think I'll just, end there today. How did I get the folder? Okay, so the folder is you right click an empty space, and just do new group. Right click an empty space on your queries pane and just do new group. So whatever you have there is a folder. So if I say facts, although we already have something for facts, so if I just come here and just do properties, anything, some people can just say, this is to house all my fact tables, or you can populate any kind of documentation there, and when you over on the folder, that thing pops out. So anybody that is consuming your work, or again, it might even be you sometime in the future, you know why you're keeping something somewhere. So yeah, so this is I think so as not to so when my date, sometimes when my date column data type is 1, 2, 3, I try to change it to date, I get errors. It happens often. Okay, so if your date is erroring out, there are so many things. It might be that it is actually not date from the text. Maybe you're getting data from maybe a CSV or some kind of unstructured data source, and it looks like dates, but it's actually text. So Power Query is not passing it properly. There are different ways to handle it. You can try changing as local. So local is just saying there's a language or like a setting, a regional setting that Power Query is using to interact with your data, and that depends on the date and time setting that you have on your system, on your local machine itself. So if you have your stuff as maybe English United Kingdom, obviously Power Query is going to, if it's working with dates, it's going to put it in maybe day, month, year, because that is like the UK format. Now, if you get data in US format, maybe you work for a multinational and you're getting a file from your colleague in Hong Kong, or or in the US. I think US is only the weird. Maybe I'm not sure about Canada. Benga will tell us if Canada does the same thing, but that does that monthly thing that stresses everybody out. But yeah, say you have somebody sending you something from the US, and the thing is in monthly format. Of course, and your own machine is in maybe UK or Nigeria or whatever, obviously, if you're trying to pass that, Power Query is going to error out. So one thing is, maybe you can do you transform using local. So instead of just coming here to say date or date time, you tell it, I want to really specify what is it called? I want to specify the format that this thing is so that it will pass it correctly. Because what most people do is they will break it into year, month, date, 3 different columns and put it back together. For now, yes, you can get away with it. When you enter like an enterprise environment and you need to keep track of 1,000 best practices, you need to make sure query coding is going on and all of those things, you want to do incremental refresh, then that is a no-no, because immediately you do that split column, split by that either hyphen or you specify a delimiter, you lose query coding, but that's beyond the realm of this class, what we're talking about. So the best way is change type by local, change type by local. So you tell it, yes, this is the data type of date and local is United States. So if you put where is it? I mean, I can select anything and change the M itself. So United States is US. So I can just come here and change English US and just do something like this. And if the dates were to be coming in the US formats before, it will pass it correctly into what you want. And for all these applied steps, you can query, like I said, I've been recording all of this. I've been recording it, and if you want to see the equivalent end, either you go to your home tab and click on Advanced Editor, or you right click here and click on Advanced Editor. Click on Advanced Editor, and you can see what we call. You can see the transformation is done fast. So you can copy this code. Actually, you can copy the same code and send to somebody. You guys have the same. If you have access to the same data source, they are going to get exactly the same thing. So if you get this kind of code from somebody and already transformed file, maybe you want to support somebody on the community, maybe on WhatsApp, maybe on data.ninja, and you share, you have access to the data source, you run the transformation for them, and you don't need to send them the file. You can just basically copy them, put it in a notepad, and you got WhatsApp. And you can copy that code actually, run it again the same data source, and all methods we come into play. And if you're talking about the realm of Power BI service, then we will be talking about data flow, which is still the same thing as what is it called? So Power Query, but online experience. Yes, for dictionary, so I can call this I can just dictionaries are record, so I just call them dictionary. So I can call this my dictionary. And I can just start saying maybe test account, yeah, test account is maybe this. Like this. Example.
Hello, Samuel.
Yeah.
The audio is coming back, so that's previous stuff again.
Let me just
Can't hear you.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Clearly.
Okay, cool. So I do okay. Let me make this bigger. If if you want to make your your window bigger, Power Query Control Shift, then plus. If you want to reduce it, Control Shift minus. So yeah, so this is what I call a dictionary, and you can invoke it in some other queries. So if you want to see the content, this is, you remember when I was actually defining this, like I said, it can get very complex. You can populate anything there, and it's just a single query. So I have this. So maybe, although it's not ideal, but we live in the real world where, maybe for some reason they're adding test data to your production data, and maybe you have a list of those test data and you always want to filter it out. There are different ways to handle it and all of that. This is one of the ways. So you just keep a dictionary of all those sample values, and you can always just remove them from your fact table, your dimension table, where they are sitting. But just, a structured value defined in another structured value called a record. And so you can say I define two lists in a record, and a record will always have a column name and the value itself. And if I do the one for what's it called, sample data, you can see this was where I was trying to do just give me a list from A to Z and all of that, and it has populated it there. So I can do something like maybe if I want to maybe this 10,248 and 10,249, maybe they are test data, and I just want to remove them from my what is it called? I don't want to do anything that will confuse anybody. So yeah, I can just say 10,248 and 10,249, add them to my test account inside this my single dictionary, and I can come here to say, in my next step, instead of just saying again, this thing, because people say, why can't I just do this and just uncheck this too? Is because maybe tomorrow you have 14 more values that you need to filter out. It creates a maintenance overhead. It means you need to come here and always, anytime I see a team member always going to their Power Query to go and edit something because something has changed, is an indicator that that solution was probably not architected properly. Either you're not anticipating errors and you're trying to catch them beforehand and all of those things. So yeah, you can do something like this and say, I want to do table.select rows, table.select rows. So what's your table? My table is this last table, which is my last step, and I want to remove things like I want to remove those test data. Why is don't like demoing with strength that are not okay? I want to remove test data. So where this contains my dictionary, and I call them what name did I call them? I think test IDs. I can't even remember. Then in which column? In my other ID column. I remember I said it's case sensitive. So if I commit, so it's not saying test ID, we didn't name it test. Okay, I named the test account. So I'm just going to copy it and come here and just do control this. Yeah, and you can see that those 10,248, 10,249, all those guys are gone. And there's a way you can make it all dynamic where maybe someone else, HR somewhere, is populating, all these things. But when it's not all these things you don't learn in one day, but just give us an appreciation of Power Query, try to introduce it to us, what it can do in your workflow as a Power BI developer, like I said, there are so many things we didn't explore. There are so many things that this innocent looking tool can do. And yeah, thank you so much for waiting to actually this time. Over 50 people on the call. Wow. Yeah, thank you so much. So I think
thank you very much, Samuel. Thank you so much. I don't know if anybody if they have any questions, please you can raise up your hand if you have questions. You can click on the raise hand button if you have questions. Anybody, any question? Okay. Since nobody has question, I think everybody is fine with the class then. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Samuel. I will be sending the edited video to us in a few hours' time. Then we can watch. Okay, somebody has question. Nuruddin.
Yeah, hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Benga, and thanks for the presenter for a wonderful lecture. But I wanted to ask, I know we are out of time, but just maybe if not today, I don't know if you just show us how to create like a refresh time, right? Or is it refresh time effective on Power Query?
Okay, don't worry. We'll find another way to. Maybe what we'll do is that we'll have a part 2 of this Power Query. It seems that Power Query is a lot more than we thought. So maybe we'll find a way to restructure the classes and find a way to do like a part 2 for the Power Query.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So guys, thank you so much. I know we've used more than our allocated time, but it was really worth it. So yeah, I think the best bet is that you should rewatch the video. And maybe we are going to have a part 2. Maybe I have to talk to Sam if we could have like a second part of this class, because Power Query is a whole lot. So but we'll talk about that. I'll communicate that to you via mail if there will be any kind of if there's any update on that at all. Yes. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining. Thank you. See you again next week Saturday, where we'll talk about data model. It's all about data model next week Saturday. Thank you so much. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. God bless.